While social issues dominate our attention and fill the headlines, one of the things that goes less noticed in our culture is the rapid development of technology. As Christians, we need to ask questions. Will technology change what it means to be human? Will it ultimately impact the way we view God? Let's talk about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the cutting edge of technology right now, but it's really not as new as you might think. It's just now coming on to your radar, and you're hearing about it with apps like ChatGPT, but it's been around for a good while. In fact, you probably use some form of artificial intelligence every day. There are different kinds of artificial intelligence technology, so let me break that down for you. There's what is called narrow AI, narrow artificial intelligence. That's what we have used for some time in tasks like data harvesting, massive database searches, and all facial recognition technology. These are examples of the way artificial intelligence, or a computing program that is able to not memorize massive amounts of information, but to deductively reason and match things in a database to try and come to conclusions. At its worst, potentially, AI is George Orwell's Big Brother come to life. But in most cases, it's a part of our technology that we're already using. That's narrow AI. The next level is called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This is a much more generative form of the technology, which tries to take the ability for computers beyond simple manipulation of data to a level of deductive reasoning that allows for interaction with human beings. And then, of course, there is the dream that we've not yet achieved that is called superintelligence. That's like Terminator movies level, where machines reason and think to the point that they develop a kind of conscious existence in themselves. In the transhumanist movement that I spoke about a few weeks ago, this is a very big portion of that idea, because the agenda for the future among secularists, there is an agenda for the 21st century by a philosopher named Harari. He says the two great issues of the 21st century will be to solve the problem of physical immortality. In other words, how do we conquer death? The second thing, he says, on the agenda is to intensify human happiness. And his proposal for both conquering death and intensifying happiness is that we upgrade humans into some sort of cyborg or combination flesh-machine being, where our brains can function at the level of a supercomputer and our bodies are no longer limited by the inherent distractions and troubles of human flesh. Let's talk about these different levels of artificial intelligence. The computer app called ChatGPT is probably the first time that the ability to make use of artificial intelligence has come at a popular level. It is owned and operated by a company called OpenAI. You can download this app to your phone, and you use it like kind of like Siri or Alexa, except at a super advanced level, because ChatGPT is able to take data from all across the internet, data that is available worldwide, and assemble it in an organized way that ideally would improve human productivity. Knowing human nature, however, it's become a little bit controversial, especially, for example, in the educational realm, where professors and teachers are concerned that that college students no longer learn for themselves. They simply manipulate the AI to do the research and turn out the papers that are required for their classes. We'll talk about all of that in just a minute, but the CEO of OpenAI is a man named Sam Altman. He says that ChatGPT, the GPT part stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Now, just to give you some comparison, the ChatGPT app hit 100 million active monthly users in just a few months from its release. By comparison, TikTok took 9 months to reach that many viewers, and Instagram took nearly 3 years. So this is a technology that is sweeping across the globe, and what I want to talk about is that the technology is being utilized at the popular level worldwide, but we haven't taken the time to figure out the ethics and the regulations that need to go with artificial intelligence. Let me give you an example about GPT. The CEO of the company says that GPT-4, which is the newest iteration of this technology, when given the uniform bar exam, it scored in the 90th percentile of that required testing to become a lawyer. It scored a near perfect score on the math portion of the SAT test, and it is proficient to write computer code in every programming language available on the planet. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, famously was reported to have said to school students on the first day of class in 2017 that whoever leads the AI race will eventually rule the world. Now, there are some problems with the technology, and essentially these 100 million users now have become a massive beta test group for those who are developing the technology. Artificial intelligence has been released to the public, but it's only in the massive widespread use of the technology that we're beginning to find the bugs in the system, the ghost in the machine, and that's intentional. They are using the public as a test group, and the CEO of the company says that one of the things they've discovered is what he calls the hallucinations problem. That is, because this technology is based on deductive reasoning rather than straight memorization of facts, it doesn't spit out facts, it tries to put pieces together. And the hallucination problem is when the latest model, he admits, it has an issue because of its deductive reasoning that it uses instead of memorization, and it will tell you things with great confidence and assert that they are true when in fact they are not true. They're having to tinker with the model because the computer is taking the process of deductive reasoning that we've tried to program in. In other words, we've tried to replicate the way the human brain works, but without recognizing the limitations of our ability to do that. What we've produced is a computer that functions a lot like some of the people in our culture. With inadequate information, it makes leaps to certain conclusions and then confidently holds to those assertions or those conclusions, even when it can be shown that it's not true or incorrect. The way it's used, the CEO says, certainly outweighs the benefits to humanity, he says, outweighs the risks. But let me talk just quickly about some risks. Generative AI can do several things that can be very dangerous to us. Number one, it can rapidly produce video that is lifelike with sound and image that is almost indistinguishable from actual video footage. For example, the potential here, we talk a lot about election interference over the last few years, but generative AI can rapidly produce targeted campaign emails, texts, and videos that would mislead voters, that would impersonate candidates, and truly undermine our elections on a scale and a speed that's never been seen before. AI can make automated robocall messages in the actual voice of the candidate, instructing voters, for example, to instruct voters to cast their ballots on the wrong date or in the wrong location. We spend a lot of time talking about fake news and misinformation, but artificial intelligence manipulated by bad actors has the potential to produce misinformation on a global scale that we've never seen before. It can produce audio recordings of a candidate supposedly confessing to a crime or expressing racist views. It can produce video footage of a person giving a speech or an interview that they never gave. Fake images are designed to look like actual news reports. It's been used already in these ways, in some interesting ways, and really across the political spectrum. There was one doctored video put together through artificial intelligence recently debunked of President Biden appearing to give a speech attacking transgender people. By the same token, we have images sweeping the internet of children being taught Satanism in school libraries. Again, completely fake video. When the former President Trump was faced with legal charges, there were pictures of his mugshot circulated across the internet, a mugshot that was never taken. He didn't have a mugshot when he turned himself in for arrest. There are other AI-generated images that show him resisting arrest, something that never happened. On an even more insidious scale, AI can be used to generate fake pornography. What I mean is they take the images of real human beings and craft those facial images into pornographic scenes, and that is often used in a kind of blackmail strategy. My point is, artificial intelligence in and of itself is morally neutral, but with no restrictions or ethical limitations placed on the technology, it's quickly going to get out of hand because it will be used for insidious reasons by people who have wrong agendas. Now, the technology itself does also need some direction. GPT-4, for example, was recently tested to see if it could overcome certain obstacles. And in a fascinating experiment, the GPT tool, instructed to accomplish a certain task, it couldn't get through that task because of what was called the CAPTCHA test. The CAPTCHA test are those things that you get occasionally when you go somewhere. You have to identify all the blocks that have a train or all the blocks that have traffic lights or something like that. Computers can't do that. That's a human thing. But GPT was able to enlist a tech platform called TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit is an organization that connects people who can run errands and do small tasks for other people who are not able to do them. The computer was able to enlist a human through TaskRabbit to perform the task of passing the digital test, the CAPTCHA test, which distinguishes humans from robots, which then got the computer into the program it was trying to get into, and having enlisted a human to help it under false pretenses, it was able to fulfill the assignment that had been given to it. This is a little bit insidious. The concern is AI could be used to teach people to plot attacks and even to make bombs. Well, my point is not that we need to run and hide in a cave because we're scared to death of technology. My point is, how do we face this technology and build some branches, knowing that human beings are not naturally trustworthy with the kind of power and manipulative abilities that artificial intelligence will now make available to us. I mean, let's look at Scripture. In Genesis chapter 3, what was the key issue in the temptation that Satan brings to Eve and then to Adam in the Garden of Eden? It was the temptation to be like God. The enemy said, hey, God is holding out on you. If you'll eat out of that tree that he prohibited you from from eating, if you'll go ahead and take that choice on yourself, you'll know the difference between good and evil. You'll be like God. And there is this natural impulse in us to always want to pursue that godlike status. Go to Genesis chapter 11, and we have the story of the Tower of Babel. In that story, we have mankind coming together, and they said, we're gonna form bricks and we're gonna build a tower, and the tower is gonna reach to the heavens. It was an attempt to bond together as mankind and to reach to a level where they could confront God face to face. In other words, where they could be on the peer level with God. God said this is dangerous. He confused their languages and scattered them across the earth. Now, the point of the story of the Tower of Babel is not that God was afraid of human beings, but God understood that it's in the best interest of human beings to not have the opportunity to present themselves or to get to the place where they see themselves as God. It's called the problem of Homo Deus, the man who wants to be God. There is an irresistible desire in human nature to be more than we are, to be God. AI has the ability to give us that illusion. As Harari said, the illusion to do away with death, the illusion to intensify happiness by becoming something that we were never meant to be. We need to talk about how Christians can influence the process of establishing boundaries, of implementing ethical restrictions for the use of this technology. Because while I don't think the Terminator movies are right around the corner, the fact of the matter is we may create a computer God in our own image and one day wake up to find out that Pandora's box has been opened and we can't get the genie back in the bottle. That's a lot of different metaphors mixed into one sentence. But the reality is we are doing something that we know how to do, but we don't know if we should do it. I'm going to continue this topic in next week's Truth Currents, and we're going to look at really the Christian response to this process of dealing with artificial intelligence in a healthy and righteous way. This is Truth Currents.